or
This
EC
conference will
background.
now be recorded.
Based upon that is what they will be shortlisting. So similarly, this is the process which every company follows. All right, and coming to a lateral hiring. Lateral hiring is nothing but the person with the respective experience. All right, so for the experienced people, it again varies from a different there will be different kinds of selection process, like it might be a telephonic discussion, technical telephonic discussion, or an online test, or any Skype interviews, whatever might be. Okay, but the uh, for the lateral hiring, the rejection ratio or the process of hiring will be completely different from the fresher people. And they will many people ask what is the reasons for the rejection when it comes for a technical interview. In the technical interview there might be multiple reasons. Okay, uh, it would be on a technical grounds. The person may not be good at a technical level, or the compensation, he may not fit the band of the company, the salary band. What if the company, see, the salary grids also varies from a company to company, and when it comes to a service based organization and a product based organization, the salaries are huge for the product based organization. So the candidate who have come for the interview, he might get rejected because of his technical, um, if he's not good at technical, and even if it's technical, if the profile, if the person got reject, it might be the reason because of his attitude, or the compensation, or the notice period. So there are multiple reasons. So when you go for an interview, if somewhere you got rejected, don't think that you have answered all the questions. The HR or the manager who took your interview have rejected your profile. Never think in that way. There are multiple reasons behind it. For example, there is a project which is going to start in the next month, and they want a person to replace that particular position in the other 30 days. And the person who came for an interview is good. His compensation is good, his technical is good, attitude is good, but he cannot join us in 30 days. Then he would surely hold that particular profile, and he'll wait for another best opportunity where he can hire this person. So there are multiple reasons why the people are kept on hold. Why is that the person got selected and everything. And once after the selection process is done, once after the candidate got offered also, at times the person get rejected. The reason might be because of the background verifications. It's a common process each and every organization follows. So again, in the background verification also there might be multiple reasons. The reasons might be because of your irrelevant documents, or the company in the initial first organization where you have worked, if the company is not existing, or they are unable to verify, uh, or if you have not submitted your recent professional provisional certificate. So all the, or your ex-employer manager, your respective manager, if he did not reply your current organization with a good mark. So these are all the cases for the background verification. So once after you through all these things is what you get placed. All right. So this is a different kinds of process for the freshers or the lateral hiring. So it obviously varies. I know people must be having lots of questions. Please do ask me whenever. So I'll stop in between and I can answer your questions. Hello? You want me to continue or you want me to stop for any question?
Let's give a minute if someone asks the question, or we can continue. Sure. Let's give you a minute, yeah.
Hi, Shweta, this is Lavanya.
Hi, Lavanya.
Hi. So I want to know what are the sources you find these resources? See, for freshers, you said we'll have a campus placement.
Correct.
So how do you choose a particular campus? And for lateral hires, what are the sources you go for? Where do you find them?
Good question. All right, I'll tell you. For the freshers, for a reputed colleges, it might be for a degree colleges or in a BTech or MBA, whatever it is, for some reputed colleges, they usually have a tie-up with few companies that every year this particular company will go for a campus placement. All right, if not for an off-campus. Apart from that, respective colleges will also have a placement officer. They will approach the respective companies or the consultancies who actually conduct this campus hiring, off campuses interviews. They get in touch with these people and they ask like, oh, when is the opportunity coming for respective company and can we participate? So that is how they approach to the companies. And for the lateral hiring, it would be respective company um, job employment will be published in their respective pages. That is how you actually can go through. And apart from that, they also post in the portals like Naukri portal, Monster portals, and job consultancies. You hope like many of the people also get calls from the different consultancies asking for a respective opportunity. So that is how you actually got to know. And if there is a bulk opening, few would come over a paper ad, mostly for the freshers.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Welcome.
Shweta, I have one question in chat as well. So, how does a career gap affect for laterals?
Okay. Uh, at the time of your interview, that is one sure question every manager or every person would ask, why is there is a gap? If there is a genuinity in the gap, they would surely consider. If not, and if you're not a technical sound at the time of your interview, they would think twice. But if you have a gap and if you did your interview well, they would really not think about the gap. But when it comes to a background verification, you have to submit your proper documentation for that particular gap, because the gap might be due to personal reasons or health conditions or because of the higher educations, or if not, people, if they are undergoing through some technical trainings or something for the another courses, they will also take a gap. So that gap should be actually properly verified, then that should not be a problem. Gap una consider chestaru parvaledu, but again it depends upon the person and the justification.
Okay, that's all I have in the chat group at the moment.
Okay.
Probably. Let's continue further.
Hey,
yeah.
Shweta, I have a question. This is Tabitha here.
Hi, Tabitha.
Suppose if a candidate had a gap and then he or she continued with the next job, and suppose she wants to change another job, and would company consider the previous gap? Like, okay, after the gap, I went to some other company and then I wanted to change again. So would company look back at the profile and consider that one as well?
Okay. See, initially you have worked for 2 years and again you have a gap of 2 years, and after that you have been working for 2 years. Okay. So if the next company, wherever you're going, if they need only 2 years of experience, they would not consider the previous experience. But if they are looking for some 4 or 5 years, then you need to justify them that I have a 4 years of experience, but there is a gap of 2 years because due to XYZ reasons. And if they are okay with that, then they will not mind in having it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Hello,
Shweta. Yeah, Shweta. Yeah, I am Shashank.
Shashank.
Yeah. So I have a very quick question here. I'm not sure whether this is appropriate question here or not, but just wanted to ask. So one of my friend, so he has a gap of some 3 to 4 years. So then again he worked for 2.5 years. Then again he had a gap of somewhere around 1.5 year. So actually he's in a very tight position now, and he has applied for this MBA entrance exams, and luckily he got an offer from Pune College. Okay.
Okay.
Are you aware of Symbiosis Pune? Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yes, yeah. So he got an admission into it. No, coming to it, I want to be very clear. It's not Symbiosis main Pune college. It's Symbiosis Center for Information and Technology, SCIT.
Okay.
So, keeping this in that in the mind, so is it better to join a job, like gain experience and get the package of 12 or 13 lakhs after 3 years, or else is it better to join that MBA now and get a package, because he has to spend now around somewhere around 14 to, I think, 16 to 17 lakhs, I guess. So after that,
Mm-hmm.
again, it's a full dilemma whether he will be getting like 12 to 13 lakhs of package or not, or else it's better to join now some job and gain experience, and after 3 years or like 2 years, he will upgrade his salary to 10 lakhs. And second question I want to ask, is it better to do regular MBA in like top B schools, or else it's better to do executive MBA after gaining 5 years of experience?
So is your friend currently working somewhere?
No. Actually, it's not working.
He's not working.
Shashank,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry, Shweta, I might take that question.
I,
yeah.
Uh,
Please.
actually, I was about to
Shall
say if
I'll
someone, you can answer the
yeah,
question.
yeah,
and
I'll take up this
shall I
question.
go in mute? I'll go in mute. Is that
No,
okay?
yeah, Shashank, I wanted to ask you one question for that.
Mm-hmm.
So your friend
Mm.
right now, I mean, earlier he was into technical,
Yes, yes, yes.
Java or something or dot.
I think he's in IT, I guess.
Okay,
I mean,
see,
like you're aware of system administrator, right? He's something
correct,
kind of,
system administration.
yeah,
All
right.
right. See, the point that I wanted to mention to a lot of aspiring people who wants to take up this executive MBA program or MBA programs, right? Uh, it really helps when you are actually coming out of a reputed B schools as a full timers. Okay, that is where you would have an opportunity to have a campus hire or a campus recruit. A
Okay.
lot of people, what they would feel is, let me actually go and do an executive program which is of 1 year worth, and they shell out like 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs. That is the starting point to somewhere around 50 lakhs. That is the top of the line. Okay, so can you go on mute, Shashank? Yeah. So if people are thinking that with the experience of an MBA degree, with the experience of 5 years, they are going to get a very good package with an executive program. That is, uh, it is like a chance of in 100 you would get 2. So would you give that? That is a very faint chances that you are actually looking after, pursuing after. I don't suggest that kind of a degree at all, where you have to spend like 18 to 20 lakh rupees from your pocket, and again you are in line for a search. If the company, if the organization like SCIT is providing an off-campus interviews with the reputed companies where the packages are like 20 lakh or 30 lakh that he is going to get, then it makes sense. So your friend probably have to do a little bit of research on that particular organization, whether they have off-campus tie-ups with any of the bigger organizations, and is it a practice that they are going to get these kind of salaries. Because if you see ISB has multiple programs of MBAs, but however, all the guys who actually come through those programs will not be placed. Only some of the guys who actually do a regular MBA program, they have a tie-ups. So it is very important to check that background before entering into that course, or else it was just you're spending another 2 years and 15 lakh or 18 lakh, and again you are standing in line. So that's my take on it.
Vamshi, I just wanted to put question once again. So
Mm-hmm.
this executive MBA is like it's like executive MBA is not a regular MBA, right? So you need not go to like college, something like that. So I think executive MBA, like, it doesn't cost around 15 to 18 lakhs, I guess. So is it better to join now, or else probably it will be somewhere around 4 to 5 lakhs, first thing. And second
Correct.
thing, my question is, like in his situation, is it better to join this regular admit which he got now at SCIT, or else it's better to tell him to join some job? This
Again,
question I'm asking to both Vamshi and as well as Shweta, because I want like both of your perspectives on this.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's what I said. Executive MBA ranges from 2 lakhs to 50 lakhs. So there are differences. That's what I'm saying. First, that is one answer. And second answer the second question answer that you're looking for is that whether he should join this SCIT or join a job. That is again, I earlier as I answered, if the SCIT is providing an off-campus with a higher package and they have this kind of a history, then yes, he should join that MBA with SCIT and pursue it. If not, he should join find a job right now. Shweta, you can go ahead. You can have your perspective.
It's correct. As Vamsi said, it's correct. I'll tell you, when you go once after you join in an organization, when you're doing your executive MBA, your education background would be considered at the time of your more. Your educational background will be considered when you're actually getting promoted at a managerial level. But apart from that, if you have executive MBA would not add much of because I'll tell you, when the candidate or when the student, if someone is passing out with a regular MBA and getting a campus placement, that's completely different. And someone who's already having some 5 years, 6 years experience and leaving their respective job and again joining in a regular MBA would not make much difference, because unless and until you don't get a good job from a reputed organization with a good package, it would not work out.
Can I add one
Okay.
point?
Yeah,
My
sure.
name is actually it's a
Yes,
depends on
Vishnu.
person. It's a depends on person. So the person is money is required immediately. So and he needs survey without money, like without salary. So he has to decide whether, like he will go with the executive MBA or not. One thing is if you choose top 10 MBA institutes in India, we will
Correct.
definitely will add value to him. That is actually based on his perspective only. So we other
Correct.
persons can't give that, like we should go this path. So he should himself decide that path. That is the right thing. So your friend actually is taking inputs, that is fine, but he himself needs to decide that. That will give the right path. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, correct.
All right. See, multiple times I have some couple of friends or the people whom I've traveled along. They keep on asking me some questions. Uh, they say that I have got selected in one particular company, but they have put my profile on hold, or they have hired for me for some respective project, but today I'm on bench. So these are the questions they usually ask. And apart from that, they might be got hired for Java, but they are working currently on testing. It's not that the HR or the respective organization recruitment team does it wantedly. It has some multiple reasons behind that. For example, if there is a big project where the company is bidding with different organizations, so the respective company have to show them that they have a big team of 100 people. So at the time they do a proactive hiring. It's nothing but a bench hiring, or nowadays it's not much in the companies, but I'm just letting you know. So they hire many people, and they show to the respective project team that yes, we have a huge number of people and we are ready to take up the project. So that is how they show. Just in case if that respective company doesn't get that particular project, the people who have hired will obviously go to bench at the initial stage. But when there is a requirement for the other projects, then rather than searching from the outside market, the company will first choose the bench people, because they already have the candidates who've been hired and they are already in their company and who are available to join the project in a span of 1 day. So the preference in the within the company would be for the bench hiring people. And at the initial stages also, when the freshers also join, they say that I have got trained in Java, but after I have joined in a respective company, they have put me into the different testing job role or anything. So it also again same. At that particular moment, they may not have Java, but for the fresher, they ensure that they give the training for the multiple technologies, and they also try to place the fresher wherever the requirement is there. So that is how the hiring actually happens internally. So this is these things actually only the HR knows. So usually people don't know. So they get so frustrated when they come to know that once after 7 years or 8 years, I have been hired for this particular project, but today they have put me some across some different project or different role and everything. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So in such
Yeah.
cases, sorry, Venki, in such cases, if one don't wanted to go into testing or go into his core skills, what
Mm-hmm.
would be other opportunities or other options for him? He has to go with the management decision, or he can defer it, or he need to look into any other alternative paths.
Uh, Initially, when they're actually taking the candidates internally, the respective project manager would surely ask them, if it might be a fresher or a senior person or whoever it is, వాళ్ళ ఆప్షన్స్ ఇస్తారు. నా దగ్గర నా ప్రాజెక్ట్లో ఈ టెక్నాలజీ పైన వర్క్ చేయాలి, ఇంత పీరియడ్ వర్క్ చేయాలి, మీ టెక్నాలజీ ఇది, మరి మీకు ఈ టెక్నాలజీ పైన వర్క్ చేయటం ఇష్టమా లేదా అని అడుగుతారు. If the candidate wants to learn an additional technology, and simultaneously if that particular manager or the team is providing a training and all, they would go, because they can add on that respective technology also. If they don't want to move from that particular technology, they would surely mention that I don't want to do it. సో ద ఫస్ట్ ఆప్షన్ కంపల్సరీగా రెస్పెక్టివ్ క్యాండిడేట్స్కే వస్తుంది. వాళ్ళు వద్దనుకుంటే వాళ్ళు ఇంకొన్ని రోజులు బెంచ్లో ఉంటారు వాళ్ళ రైట్ ఆపర్చునిటీ వచ్చేంత వరకు. లేదు అనుకుంటే తర్వాత వేరే ఇంటర్నల్ ఇంకేదైనా సేమ్ సిమిలర్ టెక్నాలజీ వచ్చినప్పుడు మూవ్ అవుతారు.
అదే. సో ఇక్కడ ప్రాబ్లం ఎక్కడ ఎక్కువ వస్తుంది అంటే జనరల్ గా ఓకే లర్నింగ్ ఒక ప్రొఫైల్ స్మాల్ ప్రొఫైల్ నుంచి హయ్యర్ ప్రొఫైల్ వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు ఆల్వేస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఛాలెంజ్, సో ఎవ్రీ వన్ విల్ హ్యావ్ కరేజ్ టు గో. బట్ ఆల్రెడీ మంచి ప్రొఫైల్ లో చేసి ఏదో మేనేజర్ ప్రెషర్ తోని ఓకే వాళ్ళు అక్కడ హెడ్ కౌంట్ ఫిల్అప్ చేయాలని ఆ విషయంలో వాళ్ళని డౌన్ గ్రేడ్ చేసి డౌన్ స్కిల్ చేసి చేసినప్పుడు అక్కడ బాగా ఫ్రిక్షన్ అవుతుంది.
అవును.
Yeah.
That is where actually the
అలాంటి
attrition, లేకపోతే resignations, all the reasons come from here.
ఓకే ఓకే సో దట్స్ నో ఐ మీన్ సిచ్యువేషన్ మాత్రమే ఉంటుంది కానీ మనం ఎవరు హ్యాండిల్ చేయలేము. ఇట్స్ అప్ టు ది క్యాండిడేట్ వెదర్ హీ హాస్ టు క్విట్ ఆర్ వెయిట్ ఆర్ డూ సంథింగ్.
Exactly, correct.
I see one question probably in chat. A non-IT associate working in top company with a less package, because this was his second company. So is it good to stick to that organization till he get a high package, or he can switch to less reputed organization which gives high package?
I think I may not be a right person. Someone else can answer this
Okay.
question.
Yeah, so
it would be again a tech non-IT going to an IT job.
not about IT job, it's about the organization
If it's a good reputed organization with a less
bad.
package, I would surely ask him to go for the next organization only.
The best organization with the low package, is it?
Should be fine, yes. A good MNC with a little less package, yes, I would surely ask him to go for that.
Okay, so that he can, once he get in, he can prove himself
Because the
and get.
experience counts. Correct, because the experience counts. So tomorrow, when he working in a good reputed organization, once after he gets some 3 or 4 years of experience, so when he puts that profile in his resume, it adds value when he's going. So obviously, the MNCs look for a good company. So obviously, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Sweta, I have
So
one
Naresh,
more
I think you got
question.
the answer.
Yes, Lavanya.
Yeah. So I want to know how this screening process goes. I know for lateral hire, if a profile matches, they will get a call for the interview. And in
Correct.
HR point of view, what are the elements you focus at the time of screening, even in freshers as well as in lateral, I mean, experienced candidates? What are the main
All right.
elements you focus on?
That's what I told initially for the what would be the reasons for the rejections. So in the HR standpoint, so the profile initially it would be get screened at the technical level. So when it comes to HR, it means the person is clear on his role, responsibility, designation, technical background, what technology is going to work, etc. Everything, which project, which manager, and everything. When it comes to me as a HR, so I would surely ask him his commitment level, because any HR would obviously check like how long the respective person is going to stick with this particular company, and if there is any kind of shift timings or any relocation, or if the person is going to work from a client location. So all these elements I would surely tell the candidate, because he might have opted that particular job because it might be a day shift, but once after he come to the interview, he might come to know this would be for a night shift or a rotational job. So there he may not be okay. So these all elements we usually discuss at the HR level. And also the compensation. So what is his compensation and what are his expectation? If his expectation matches our salary grids, then I would be fine. If not, I would go back and negotiate. And once we talk about the compensation, I would surely explain in the structure, like what are the company benefits, what is the what are the percentages of performance bonus or the shift allowances or the CAF facility, or what are the allowances that the company is going to pay. Because if I there are some companies where they pay the extra amount like allowances, shift allowances. So these all may not come under the salary part, but candidate might be interested because he is getting the extra allowances. So he might be also interested in that particular thing. So we will let him know all about his compensation details and everything. And we would also intimate him like how urgency is a requirement and what is the notice period we are looking for. See, there are some companies where they mention at the HR interview levels that this requirement is very urgent for us, and I know you have a notice period of 90 days, but if you can join us in 30 days, we would consider you. So the candidate might have a 90 days notice period, but he will surely but he will come back and say that, let me talk to my HR. If the company is ready to release him in 30 days, we would hire him. If the person is not ready, and if my client is okay to buy out his notice period, we'll pay him that notice period amount once after he joins. So again, let me tell you, the notice period buyout option or the joining bonus, it varies from a company to company and based upon the demand of the candidate and the client requirement. It's not that every company does it. And if the person might be on bench, he don't want to reveal us at the time of our interview. He might be on bench and he might get released in 30 days. So he might say that I would surely try to come back and join in 30 days. So it's how we check like when the candidate can join. Is he okay to work in shifts? Is he okay to handle the pressure? Will he comes in the band of our salary? And whether he is okay for the respective role. See, we would also try to
Sorry to
explain him
interrupt
the.
you, Chetan. Sorry to interrupt you.
Lavanya, you're not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yes, Lavanya, you're audible.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. I
No
have
problem.
one question on what you said. So you'll check if a person is enough to hold the pressure of shifts and all. What are the checks you will do to know that?
Uh, okay, a small one or two things like, see, if the person is not married and he was a
Mm-hmm.
fresher, he would accept
Mm-hmm.
everything. And the first, usually, Lavanya, you might have also got this question from an HR or from a manager asking that, are you married, or like, are you having kids? Would you be able to handle the pressure? So, and being a female associate, they would obviously, they will be they will have a doubt in their mind that this lady would be okay to work in late hours, or would she be able to come in the rotational shift. So obviously, this is what we asked at the time of the discussion. And you, when you actually talk so much, you'll come to know like whether this person can do it or not.
Okay. So that means to even I mean I feel that person's attitude is also very important in the
Exactly.
time of recruitment, right?
Correct. Correct.
So for that,
Uh,
do we have any process? I mean, will HR follow some process in specific to know their personality or the attitude that fits for the company or organization? Or is it like
no,
just
when
having a communication and knowing the person in just 1 or 2 hours? Because I have seen few people, the
Mhm.
person's attitude is different in the interview and their attitude on the floor is different when they're
Mhm.
exposed to work, regular work. So,
Okay.
do we have any process to check the person's attitude in the interview process?
Initially, at the basic level of HR discussion, we talk so much to just to find out what kind of person he is. So that is what only we do it. But as you have mentioned, when the person comes on the floor and how does it behave, those all things we cannot really judge at the initial that one moment. But there are a few things. I can just tell you in one or two examples. Like when we interview few freshers, all right, at the HR level, once after the selection, we ask them. Uh, what is the reason for choosing this opportunity? Few people directly say us that I'm actually applying for the MS. Meanwhile, I'm free. I just want to do it. All right. And few people say, I just want to earn some pocket money, or I just want to do this job because my dad is asking or my mom is asking. So these questions, they say it upfront.
Okay.
And few people at the time of the compensation discussion, few people say that, boss, I'm already holding some four offers from four different organizations, and this is the highest package they are paying. If you can pay something beyond this, then I would join your company. So
Okay.
all these things where you can, when you talk so much with a candidate, you'll obviously come to know what is actually his thinking, what is that he want, and whether he will do it or not, whether he'll join or not. And when you talk so much, few people also share their personal things like, I'm getting married. So my work works in the Hyderabad location. So I would like to relocate Hyderabad. Or my father or mother is unwell. So I'm looking for a relocation. I cannot work in the night shift because I have a baby. So all these things they usually talk with HR. So we usually come to know.
Okay. Or having attitudinal related psychological test, will that help to know a person's attitude before getting into the technical round and all? Will that help? Because I've seen a company where they are doing attitude test on attitude to check if the person fits to the particular organization or not.
Yeah, Lavanya, one sec. I actually do a lot of managerial rounds. So
Okay.
what I sense, after having a variety of interviewing variety of candidates over a past 15 years, what I understand
Mm-hmm.
about a candidate, any of the psychological test or a psychometry test that you put in, right? It is the candidate is already prepared his mind to give you ideal answers rather than what he really means. So
Okay.
when you actually try to gauge any particular person through an interview or through a test, it is always a
Mm-hmm.
chance of 60 to 40%. You're 60% or 70% highly successful. You can be because of your
Okay.
experience and because of the test. But there are a lot of ways people are becoming intelligent in terms of fooling the interviewers and as well as the fooling the tests. So you would
Okay.
always have those abnormalities that you observe. People with a nice attitude during interview process, but once they come on board, they'll have a different attitude altogether. Also, you need to consider there are change in situations for him or her after she got into the organization. So there are multiple factors that actually derives or drives a particular person's attitude. And also, when you actually talk to this person during an interview, to know what kind of a person he or she is, you put up certain questions saying that tell us about yourself, your hobbies, so you try to talk him out of technicals and see,
Mm-hmm.
and also that you relate that off the technical discussion to any of his on-job issues. You ask him like, what is the biggest thing that you have difficulty in dealing with in your office. So when you ask a question saying not on a technical side, is there any issues that you dealt with, or you have any issue that you had to escalate to your manager, or you have an issue with your manager where you have escalated or you didn't ask. So you start asking these open-ended questions. That is where you would know the person when you let the person to speak, right? We're putting an
Yeah. Yeah.
open-ended question. You would try to understand, gauge a person a bit of it. But again, I'm saying it is a hit and miss. You would get 70% of it and you would miss 30% of people. So that's how it is.
Thanks, Vamsi. That's really helpful. I have one more question too.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So for the candidate who is fresher, how will
Mhm.
come to know if he is fit for the role? For fresher, what we will see, what are the qualities we see in fresher specifically?
Screening of fresher would not be more Lavanya because initial technical skills, whatever they actually screen based upon them only, they actually get hired. But later,
Okay.
once after they join in the organization, they train them for 6 months or 12 months. That's there for sure. So the expectations at the initial level would be minimal.
Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, to
Welcome.
add to that, Lavanya, when we screen any freshers, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
600 people in a college, right? You go
Mm-hmm.
and you hire out of the 600 people, you give 30 people some kind of a offer. Now there is a lot of filtration process. Yeah, as you know, you would have tests, and based on that, finally you come to a managerial round wherein you just understand how smart he is by putting some kind of a logical questions, not really on the technical side. Say for an example, one of the questions
Okay.
can be you have a my favorite question always would be like, you have a black cube which you painted white, and you cut in the center two cuts. Now how many pieces has white on 3 sides and how many pieces has so something like that. So you try to understand the imaginary visualization skills and the logical reasoning of a person with these kind of questions. So that is how you gauge a person when he's a fresher or she is a fresher.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, Vamsi.
All right, any more questions?
Hello. Yeah.
Yes,
Hello.
Shashank.
Yeah. So again, I'm not sure whether it's an appropriate question here. So just wanted to know, like you'll be seeing, many profiles, right? Like many resumes. So based on your experience, which has more mileage with respect to SAP ABAP and SAP SD, which is a functional, like it's a technical versus a functional. So I see that ABAP is like dying out. People are saying like that. But again, at the end of the day, I feel that so I have a very big question mark here. So probably you'll be seeing many resumes, right? So you give your comment on it?
By the way, Shashank, I'm not more into the technology, but someone from over the call, if someone wants to answer who's from a background of SAP or any other technology, you can answer, Shashank.
Yeah, I'll take it up. Sorry, I'm actually taking away your questions, by the way.
Should be
So
fine.
Shashank, SAP ABAP and SAP functional, right? So when we talk about SAP ABAP and SAP functional, let's actually track it down to the companies which are actually using SAP only, right? So in this kind of a situation, when you see a person who is actually SAP functional, right? Anybody with a minimalistic experience working in this organization who is not technical can be trained on functional, how to use the system and so on and so forth, right? So there is a big chance that somebody who doesn't have any technical experience, somebody who is actually working in that organization can be trained on a functional side, but not a person and that person would already has the functional experience. So when you are getting into SAP without any functional knowledge, it is always good to go to SAP ABAP, because which is something technical which is not easy for a functional guy to learn. So if you are entering into SAP, ABAP is the best way for you to enter. But if the question is SAP ABAP is dying, what is my alternative? Then that is a different question altogether. If it is between SAP ABAP and SAP functional, then this is the answer.
What would be
Great.
the future of Scrum Master or Agile practitioners in the future with many other process changes coming into picture?
Right. Again, Agile, when we say there are process changes that are coming into picture, when you actually see all of this, okay, let me put it very hypothetically. Any one of the person saying that I'm following a pure Agile, there is nothing called a pure Agile. And also there are a lot of tools that Scrum Masters use to implement Agile. And when you say change in the process, as of now that I know that there are processes that are coming from CMMI level and CMMI and then the Agile that you have, and then you have a waterfall or iterative, all of these things. But right now DevOps is the new big thing that is happening around, and Agile is actually a tailor-made for DevOps. And when you are actually moving towards DevOps and cloud computing and everything, Agile is your best tool there. So for Scrum Masters, definitely there is a very bright future. And if you are thinking about safe Agile or something of that sort, which is at a very enterprise level, not at a small organization level, where you actually really do at a very large scale of Agile. So if you are a Scrum Master and you are trying to make your career, you have to always get into the PDM, product manager, those kind of roles with these safe agilist, those kind of certifications under your belt. So that's what my take on that would be. And agile is not dying any sooner. It would definitely be around for at least 10 to 15 years.
Okay. Thank you. And any update or any inputs on the predicting recession which is going to be after this coronavirus hit?
My friend, we are already in recession. There is no prediction as such, because I have seen most of the US companies cutting down a lot of costs, and they are cutting down their contractors if you are a product company and not, and which is definitely going to impact us. So I'm not going to scare you out or anything, but it is happening. It already happened in some of the organizations, but not to some of the organizations. I mean, most of the impacted organizations are UK related organizations. Venkat can give you a better. Venki can give you a better perspective on UK organization. What is the situation in UK right now? Yeah, my take is definitely we are in recession. There is nothing like we are going to get into recession.
It's true.
Okay.
We are already having the recession because, as a standpoint of HR, yes, we get the updates. So, yes, the hiring happening here is comparative for the last months, it's less. And they're also actually removing many of the contractors. So, the recession is already there.
So in many organizations, we are seeing the QA folks to be converted to full stack engineers. I mean, that's a jump of a transformation. So going forward, how would be the role of QA in many of the organization? Even automation is also they're considering it's just meeting the expectations, but coming to like the QA, the organizations are needing to have the QA transformed into like the automation engineer and as well as the SDET engineer, followed by a full stack engineer who can do end-to-end process of development, designing, QA, and everything. So, what's the input that we can get it from on that?
See, I'll tell you right now what I'm a manager in an organization. What I'm dealing with right now. So we still, since we are in recession, we have a couple of automation engineers. We have cut down some of the contractors on our project side, and we are trying to see the full-time employees who are the automation engineers. We are trying to repurpose them, reskill them in terms of Java developers. So that is the ask, and we are going to give them a time frame in them for them to ramp up, because they are already doing automation. They already know what is core Java, and they already understand some of the frameworks. So ramping them up would be probably takes 2 to 3 months of time, but which is going to be beneficial for them in this kind of a recession time, and which is going to be beneficial for their career as well, because you are getting into a DevOps kind of a situation where you are there is no such thing as testing anymore, where the developer itself is doing the automation, testing, and also the operations part. So all of this one person is actually going to do. So the world is moving towards the DevOps situation, and if your company or an organization is giving you an opportunity to be that person, I believe you should grab that opportunity with both the hands and enhance your skills, because this upcoming years, 1 or 2 years, the more you up your skills, the more you transform and adapt yourself, would be the beneficial for you. And if you're getting an opportunity to transform or repurpose your skills, you should grab that opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have one question to Shweta. So
Yes,
how do
Monkey.
you define how do you define from the HR perspective about the niche skills, right?
Mhm.
Because those are highly paid roles, technologies, some are there. So is it really defined by uh, with the demand in with the demand in your project, or it is defined by technical managers from the organization level, or how it is defined totally?
All right. So for the niche skill, as you have mentioned, the candidates outside the market would obviously demand when it comes to the compensation part. If the respective company cannot pay that much high salaries, they would try to get someone internally from the organization who would be interested and can get trained, because they also look for the they try to match the compensation as well as the training cost. If training cost is going to be less, then they would try to train their internal resource and would try to push for the next role. So it again depends on the companies. If they are okay to pay whatever they can, and they will surely get it from the outside market with the higher CTCs.
Venki,
Okay.
can I add something?
Yeah, please.
So again, niche skill, right? I mean, when we interact with the HRs, basically the hiring managers, when we interact with HRs, they would say first they would go ahead and say, "Oh, with this kind of a skill set that you're looking for, I cannot get this kind of a guys in the market right now because the number of resumes are low." Or whether so that is gets into the niche skill. Say it is not latest also, it is not when you say niche, it is definitely not latest, because some of the skill sets like ProC, which is very old technology, you don't really get those kind of guys in market anytime. So you have very limited set of people. So whoever is limited set, right? So that limited set is definitely be called as niche. And in niche skills also, there are highly paid skills, and some of them are not really highly paid. Say for an example, uh, you can get a you can get a very say for an example, shell scripting or Python scripting. Let me not put Python scripting. Some of the scripting languages, which is really a niche skill, but you are not willing to, your organization is not willing to pay that kind of an amount. So they try to get an internal resource and try to train them on that. But something like ProC or something of this sort, right? Warehouse management, they have packaged softwares. Basically, any of the packaged softwares that are there, or security related softwares that are there, they are very much demand in market, and they are branded as niche skills, because the number of people in the market are very limited.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Any other questions from the audience?
Hey Venki, this is Vijay. I just wanted to add on the niche skills.
Yeah, please.
So niche skills, currently we are having a good range of demand on the cloud only. Like if you take the Microsoft Azure, SuccessFactors, Salesforce, and Python, as already audience said, like if the clouds related information or having the audience, so they can grab the job easily in the market now. Just wanted to add.
Mm-hmm. So, are these we need to categorize niche skills, or we need to characterize emerging skills or emerging technologies?
These are the add-ons to the technologies. For example, like the SuccessFactors, if you take, SuccessFactors is a cloud-related course, which is an enhancement to the SAP Human Capital Management. So in the market,
Okay.
those are having a good range of demand, and those are considered as the niche skills. Like earlier, we have a niche skill called as an RPA, like the robotic process automation. Now people have started already using the robotic process automation, so that will be not considered as the niche skills. So which is having a high range of demand and the less sources. As already Vamshi and Sweta told, like most of the things like the internal people will be more interested, and they can able to get good information on the internet, like the niche skills.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Thank
a
you.
point, Venki. If already, say for an example, some time ago, Amazon Cloud, AWS is like, very rare. You'd find in entire India, you'd find, say for an example, tens and hundreds of people only who knows AWS. Now, if you go ahead and do a search in Naukri, AWS, you would find lakhs of people, right? So finding an AWS resource right now is not really a big challenge. So you have a lot of pool, then it doesn't become a niche skill as such. It is already has emerged. So something that we are talking about, say for an example, in a cloud space only, there are something like Kubernetes. There are something like Spinnaker. You are doing multi-cloud deployments now. Earlier it is only single cloud. Now you have multi-cloud deployments. You do at one go in deploy into multiple clouds at one single shot. So those kind of things right now are very niche in the market. People doesn't really know what is multi-cloud deployment. They only know that, okay, I can push it to one cloud. So why companies are going into multi-cloud system, why they are not actually having single cloud environment? Again, these are the emerging things that are happening. It is emerging, and at the same time, the people who has knowledge on them are very limited. So it becomes niche. But it is not only the niche. Again, as I told you back, some of the package software, which is like in an insurance company, insurance sector, something like Guidewire, claim center or a policy center, something of that sort, would be called niche skill, because it is very much pertain to that particular industry and that particular uh, package. That is also termed as niche. It is not emerging, it is already there in the market. So niche, when we say, it is really boils down to a point where you have limited set of people that are available in the market.
Okay. Key thing is that. Yeah, I have another question, but I'll give a chance for other audience to post. We are almost more than one hour, but yeah, we can still take some question, I guess. Okay, so then I'll pose the question. Yeah, probably again it's to Sweta. So there are some companies. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Venkat.
So there are some companies like my companies where they have the interview rounds of 10 to 12 rounds. Some companies are more than that. And when we say normal companies go with maximum of 3 rounds, one technical, one manager, and one HR. So what is really this difference? What they really do in all those Google FB companies by taking 12 rounds of interview?
10 rounds, I think this is more, Venkat. I don't think so, because yes, Google and Deloitte, these people take 5 to 6 rounds of interviews when compared to the other companies, but 10 to 12 rounds.
Maybe in but అన్ని రౌండ్స్ ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ లో ఏం ఎవాల్యుయేట్ చేస్తారు అనేది ఒక చిన్న
డెలాయిట్
underlying
కంపెనీలో
question.
ఇలాంటి రోల్ అయినా డెలాయిట్ కంపెనీలో ఇలాంటి రోల్ అయినా వాళ్ళకి వాయిస్ అండ్ యాక్సెంట్ క్లియర్ అవుతేనే తర్వాత టెక్నికల్ ఉంటుంది, మిగతా రౌండ్స్ ఉంటుంది. సో ఇర్రెస్పెక్టివ్ ఆఫ్ ద టెక్నాలజీ స్కిల్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ వాళ్ళు వాయిస్ అండ్ యాక్సెంట్ క్లియర్ చేయాలి. అందులోనే మళ్ళీ ఒక వాళ్ళకి ఫస్ట్ రౌండ్ లో కూడా జస్ట్ ఇన్ రౌండ్ ఉంటుంది, దాని తర్వాత వాయిస్ అండ్ యాక్సెంట్ ఉంటుంది. సో ఈ 3 రౌండ్స్ తర్వాత 4th రౌండ్ టెక్నికల్ ఉంటుంది వాళ్ళకి. 5th విల్ బి మేనేజర్ రౌండ్, 6th విల్ బి హెచ్ఆర్. సో అది ఐటీ కావచ్చు, నాన్ ఐటీ కావచ్చు, అదొక హెచ్ఆర్ కి అవ్వచ్చు. సో ఈ 6 రౌండ్స్ అయితే వాళ్ళకి కామన్. సో అలా ఒక్కొక్క కంపెనీ ఒక్కొక్క ప్రాసెస్ ఫాలో చేస్తుంది. అండ్ ఫ్రెషర్స్ కి దే విల్ ఆల్సో టు ఫిల్టర్ ది క్రౌడ్, వాళ్ళు కూడా ఒక 3-4 రౌండ్స్ కంపల్సరీగా మెయింటైన్ చేశారు. ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ కమ్ ఫర్ అ బీపీఓలో డిఫరెంట్ కేటగిరీస్ ఉంటాయి, లైక్ గ్రూప్ డిస్కషన్, యాప్టిట్యూడ్, దాని తర్వాత మళ్ళీ వాయిస్ అండ్ యాక్సెంట్, మేనేజరల్, హెచ్ఆర్. సో వాళ్ళకు కూడా ఒక 5 రౌండ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ ఉంటాయి. వెన్ ఇట్ కమ్స్ టు అ లాటరల్ హైరింగ్, అప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి నంబర్ ఆఫ్ రౌండ్స్ తగ్గుద్ది. కానీ మళ్ళీ అగైన్ వెన్ ఇట్స్ ఫర్ అన్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఆఫ్ 10 years or 15 years ఆల్సో కొన్ని కంపెనీస్ లో 3-4 రౌండ్స్ అయితే మ్యాండేటరీ. దే విల్ ఈవెన్ హ్యావ్ kind of written test also at that particular experience. So it varies from a company to company.
Okay. So it's only their standards of evaluating people.
Not only that, Venki, inkokasari what happens is, say I have 3 different business units, right? And all of them have openings. Now what HRs might be doing is, I have initial set of rounds, which is basically, and then again what they would do is let them put through all these 3 business units. Again 3 business units might have two technicals each, right? Those kind of situations where you have more of the interviews that would be happening. Again the HR round and the managerial round would be one, and the initial process would be one. But if you have multiple business units who has a similar set of skills that they are looking for, so you never know, one business unit might have rejected that particular candidate's candidacy, but the same candidate might be selected for another business unit. So that's the reason most of the times HRs, what they do is they would repurpose these resumes and have these multiple rounds with different business units.
వెంకీ, యాజ్ వంశీ సెడ్, ఇప్పుడు కొన్ని ప్రొఫైల్స్ మేము హోల్డ్ చేస్తాం ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ అప్పుడు, వాళ్ళకి క్లియర్ గా చెప్తాం, హోల్డ్ చెప్తాం, కానీ రీజన్స్ మేము చెప్పాం. సో ఇది కూడా అవ్వచ్చు, లైక్ అతను 5 టెక్నాలజీస్ వాళ్ళకి కావాలి ఒక ప్రాజెక్ట్, వాళ్ళకి హీస్ గుడ్ ఎట్ 3, బట్ మీ రిమైనింగ్ 2 టెక్నాలజీస్ అతను యావరేజ్ ఉన్నాడు, ఇంకొక ప్రాజెక్ట్ కి ట్రై చేస్తే ఇట్ విల్ వర్క్అవుట్ అని చెప్పి మాకు ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ లో చెప్పేశారు అనుకోండి, వీ వుడ్ హోల్డ్ దట్ పర్సన్ ఫర్ దట్ పర్టికులర్ ప్రాజెక్ట్. If I get the requirement for the another project in my organization, irrespective of any location or anything, I would surely come back to the person. But enti ante I cannot go back and explain the manager that itan already inni clear chesesadu, మీరు తీసుకోకుండా క్లియర్ చేయండి అని నేను అడగలేను. సో he will again interview, but 3 rounds బదులు 1 round తీసుకొని ప్రాసెస్ చేయొచ్చు for the next level. సో అలా వాళ్ళకి కొందరికి ఏంటంటే ఎక్కువ ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ తీసుకున్నట్టు కూడా అనిపిస్తుంటుంది.
Yeah, probably. Different views. Good, thank you. So we're on top of hour now. If no one have questions, probably we can wind up. Yeah, I think seems there is no. Balu, you're asking some question.
Hello. I'm audible. Yeah. This is related to the. Okay, this is related to the experienced people. Like, what would be the selection process for a 10+ or a 15+ years experienced person who is working as a project manager or playing the role of a scrum master? What would be the selection process for those kind of people?
బాలు, నేను ఇంతకు ముందు చెప్పినట్టుగా ఒక కంపెనీలో 2 rounds ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ ఉండొచ్చు, కొన్ని కంపెనీస్ లో 3 rounds ఉంటుంది. సో కొన్ని కంపెనీస్ లో 10 years ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అయినా కానీ కూడా కొందరు మీకు ఆన్లైన్ టెస్ట్ ఇస్తారు కోడ్ రాయడానికి. సో అది మళ్ళీ కంపెనీ టు కంపెనీ. ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇఫ్ యూ ఐఎమ్ వర్కింగ్ ఫర్ బిర్లా సాఫ్ట్, ఆల్ రైట్, సో ఇఫ్ యూ ఆస్క్ మీ, ఐ జస్ట్ హ్యావ్ 2 rounds ఆఫ్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. So one would be a technical, one would be a manager, and the final round of discussion would be a HR. And they. So this is the process what I follow in my organization. But if you go back for the other companies, it might vary. So it might be only one round of interview also. So it varies.
Okay, so it
Balu,
depends on the company to company.
yeah, again, if you are specifically asking for project manager, is that specific to project manager?
Project manager, scrum master.
If it is specific to a project manager or a scrum master, definitely it would be on how you are handling the delivery. How you are handling the delivery, what are the processes that you are going to implement, and how you are handling the resources. So any kind of improvement that you have brought into the system. Say, for an example, your resources are working at a velocity of 40 story points per a sprint, right? Now, how do end of the year, how do you improve it to say 50 story points, or you have brought in a robustness into the application? How do you brought the robustness into the application? Say, for an example, earlier if it is a maintenance project, you are actually getting somewhere around 150 service now tickets or something like that per month, and that means your system is not stable yet. Now you show them that I have made so many changes into the application, or we have put in so many alerts, or we are doing active monitoring to reduce those number of incidents to somewhere around 70. So no longer it is 150 that we are getting. So we are trying to make the system more robust and resilient. What is the journey of that? So these kind of the questions that would come across to you in terms of application delivery process, and also as well as people management. How you have given the career growth to an individual. Well, how do you look into a career growth of an individual? What are your aspects to it? And how do you handle a conflict management between two resources that are top two for your team? So these kind of situations, these kind of questions that you can expect for a project manager level such things.
Yeah, it will be like more of a managerial round, and checking whether the project management aspects or the team management and all the situational based questions and scenario based questions.
Correct. If you are purely a project manager, but if you have a technical aspect as well, then you would also be evaluated on the technical grounds. How your technology acumen is, how you are technical oriented, your technical orientation that you have. So whether you are inclined towards technology or not. Nowadays, every project manager is supposed to be technology agnostic, and he has to have that mindset to go with. So how closely you are following the latest trends and technologies that are in the market? If you can speak on that, or if you can speak on the technology or the architecture of your particular project that you dealt with right earlier, that is also would be an added advantage for you. That means you actually tell the interviewer saying that I am in control of the existing project. I know from, I don't really rely on the technical leads or architects to really run it. I really understand both from a technical and functional aspects and processes aspects. So you're the director or captain of that particular ship which you are steering it. So you have to give that sense to the interviewer.
So it's like more of a technical and a functional kind of a thing, overall complete project, right?
Correct.
How do you have handled the project right from the beginning till the delivery, including the technical and functional aspects, and as well as the resource management.
Correct. Super. Yep.
And what about for example, a role of a scrum master? It is going for a scrum master role, and what will be the technical related round? Will that be
when you're when you are looking for any kind of a scrum master specific things, right? Then how do you have your ceremonies that are being done? How do you improve those things, right? What were when you have entered into the project, how it was? So what are the changes that you brought in? So if there is no improvement at all, that cannot be good for you, because there is always improvement factor in all the aspects. So say for an example, if you are a Scrum Master, how you brought the metrics into picture, right? So people really, it is not only just doing the Scrum Master role of having the ceremonies done and you actually anchor through the ceremonies, but also how do you collaborate with multiple teams across and ensure you know, all the impediments, you are clearing out all the impediments for your teams, right? That is the most important aspect. And in that, what are your collaboration? How do you collaborated with multiple teams or the vendors that you worked with? And when you are actually working these collaboration aspects, right, how do you eased out these communication channels? So there are multiple ways you actually communicate. There would be some kind of a procedures to communicate. So as a Scrum Master, how do you eased out all of these communication channels, and how do you you know, build a case for your team to easily clear off all the impediments that they are facing? So that is a vital role for a Scrum Master to do. So if you can actually sell this story, saying that, you know, see, I'm this Scrum Master, whenever there is something, my team member has something, then I would actually do this kind of stuff. I have seen a problem with for them to reaching out to these teams. So I had talk with this particular project manager or that particular vendor manager and try to set up a daily calls or a periodistic calls, like weekly calls, so that it would enable us to better collaborate. So these kind of things that I have implemented into the organization, or these are the things that I brought in to the system or contributed to the system. So likewise, you, and then on to the metric side, it is not only the burn down charts that that you are talking about, but it is also about the individual resources, how they are actually improved their velocity. So if a person is actually doing 40 story points because of some of the dependencies that they have in the system. Now, how do you eliminate these dependencies and ensure that they are actually doing 50 story points? So all these aspects that you actually bring it to the table and you sell a story to the interviewer.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So, regarding the same Scrum Master role, is it required for a Scrum Master to learn the DevOps tools or the CI/CD pipeline or anything to related to technical stuff?
I would suggest to have an overview, not really hands-on. Say something like, what do you understand about CI/CD? And what are the different tools that are there in CI/CD, and why your people only do Jenkins? Something of that sort. And when somebody says I'm building a Jenkins pipeline, what does that mean? And why somebody is using Gradle and somebody is using Maven? So some of these things, right, if you really understand the basics of it, that would add a value to you, rather than, you know, it is not going to, you need not to really understand how to build a Jenkins pipeline by yourself, how to configure it. You need not to know that, but you need to have an overview of those technologies. That would really add value to you.
Okay. I think it's not only particular to Jenkins or CI/CD or DevOps. I think the Scrum Master should know the overview of the technical aspects of which the team is going on. It would be a benefit.
Correct.
Actually, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any further questions? Anyone would like to ask anything? Or anyone would like to add anything?
I would like to add something. Thank you, Shweta, first of all, to allowing me to answer these questions. I know it is your session, but I couldn't stop myself when I see some of these questions, so I jumped in. You know, probably it might be inappropriate, but thanks for letting me answer these questions.
Thank you, Vamsi. No problem. Thank you for answering all the technical questions from your end.
Good. I think since there are no questions and would like to, yeah, Raghu, if you wanted to add, probably then we can end the question, end the session. Sorry.
నా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఏం లేవు వెంకీ. సో జస్ట్ థ్యాంక్స్ నోట్స్ కాబట్టి థ్యాంక్స్ ఏమని చెప్పేయచ్చు. బట్ ఎంత చెప్పినా తక్కువ శ్వేతకి అండ్ వంశీకి. ఓకే, యాజ్ యూజువల్. ఎందుకంటే ఎవ్రీ టైం లాగానే వాళ్ళు ఏదైనా హెల్ప్ మనం లాస్ట్ వీక్ మాట్లాడినప్పుడు ఓకే తీసుకుందాం సెషన్ అని చెప్పేసి ప్లాన్ చేసి రావడం అనేది రియల్లీ అప్రిషియేటబుల్ థింగ్. సో థ్యాంక్స్ శ్వేత. అంటే ఫార్మల్ థ్యాంక్స్, ఇది ఏదో చెప్పాలని మనస్ఫూర్తిగా ఏం చెప్పట్లేదు. ఐ నో థ్యాంక్స్ చెప్పి చిన్నగా చేయాలని లేదు నాకు. ఓకే, సో రైట్ అండ్ కీప్ ఇట్ అప్. యా
సారీ, ఆడియన్స్ ఎవరైనా ఇంకేదైనా టాపిక్ గురించి, ఐ మీన్ వీఆర్ నాట్ లిమిటెడ్ టు ఎనీ ఆఫ్ ది టాపిక్ యాక్చువల్లీ. ఇది కంటిన్యూస్ గా ఎవ్రీ వీకెండ్ ఒక మార్నింగ్ అండ్ ఈవినింగ్ ఒక 1 hour సెషన్స్ కంటిన్యూ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాము. ఎవరైనా ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ టాపిక్స్ ఏదైనా చెప్పదలుచుకుంటే కాంటాక్ట్ మీ, పింగ్ మీ. We'll schedule as per your time and everyone's time, and let's see. Let's continue virtually for even after lockdown or what it may be, because generally knowledge sharing is more important. ఆలోచిస్తున్నాం కాబట్టి, so irrespective of specific social activities కాదు, any topic, be it from nature, professional, non-professional, your views. నాకు ఇందాక వచ్చిన థాట్, ఈవెన్ బుక్ టాక్స్ అని కూడా ఉంటుంటాం మనకి. మా కంపెనీలో బుక్ టాక్స్ అని కూడా ఉంటారు. వాళ్ళు బుక్ చదువుంటారు, ఆ బుక్ లో ఉన్న సారాంశాన్ని కూడా ఒక చిన్న టాక్ ఒక half an hour లో చెప్పేస్తుంటారు. అంటే మంచి ఇన్స్పిరేషనల్ బుక్స్ ఉండి ఇలాంటివి చెప్తున్నారు అనుకోండి, అట్లీస్ట్ పాయింట్స్, మొత్తం బుక్స్ చదువుకున్న పాయింట్స్ అన్నా మనకి కొంతమందికి అలవర్చుకునే ఆ పాసిబిలిటీ ఉంటుంది. సో అలా ఎవరైనా మాట్లాడే వాళ్ళు ఉంటే దెన్ రీచ్ అవుట్ టు మీ. విల్ ట్రై టు కంటిన్యూ దిస్ ఫర్దర్.
అన్న ఇంకొక చిన్న క్వశ్చన్, చిన్న డౌట్ అన్న, చిన్న సజెషన్, డౌట్ కాదు. ఇప్పుడు ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ టాపిక్ బదులు ఇట్లా ఎప్పుడన్నా జస్ట్ ఇట్లా ½ an hour 1 hour ఇట్లా క్యూ లాగా పెడితే, ఎవరికి ఏం క్వశ్చన్స్ వచ్చినా తోచిన క్వశ్చన్స్ అలా పోస్ట్ చేస్తే, లైక్ సీనియర్స్ లైక్ యూ కెన్ ట్రై టు ఆన్సర్. లైక్ ఇప్పుడు వంశీ గారు ఎన్ని చెప్పింది అసలు ఐఎమ్ రియల్లీ షాక్డ్. యాక్చువల్లీ ఐ ఫీల్ వెరీ హ్యాపీ, లైక్ టేకింగ్ అప్, బికాస్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ డూ మ్యాటర్. ఓకే, సో అట్లా ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ నారో డౌన్ చేయకుండా, ఐ మీన్ లైక్ ఒక వైడర్ లాగా జస్ట్ క్యూ అండ్ ఎనీథింగ్, ఎనీ వన్ కెన్ ఆన్సర్ అట్లా. అగైన్ ఇట్ జస్ట్ సజెషన్.
యా, అలాంటి కూడా అంటే మనకు స్పీకర్స్ దొరికినప్పుడు ఐ పుట్ సమ్ ఓపెన్ ఫోరం కైండ్ ఆఫ్ థింగ్. ఆస్క్ ఎనీథింగ్, ఇఫ్ పీపుల్ కెన్ ఆన్సర్ విల్ ఆన్సర్, అదర్వైజ్ విల్ పార్క్ ఇట్.
వెంకీ,
Hansi, take the challenge.
Sure. వెంకీ, నాకు ఒక టాపిక్ ఉంది వెంకీ. యాక్చువల్ గా ఐ డోంట్ నో హౌ మెనీ పీపుల్ వుడ్ బి ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్, బట్ నాకు ఇండియన్ మైథాలజీ మీద కొంచెం ఒక సెషన్ చెప్పాలని ఉంది. బట్ సి,
తప్పకుండా సార్.
All right, then can I log off, Venki?
Yeah, I think I lost the connection for a while, but I connected back.
Okay.
ఓకే, సో మైథాలజీ, ఇండియన్ మైథాలజీ మీద వంశీ సార్ మాట్లాడతారంట.
ఓకే, యా,
తీసుకుందాం.
సో నెక్స్ట్ వీక్ one session is booked. నెక్స్ట్ సండేకి.
రైట్, అంటే స్టోరీస్ చెప్తారా సార్ మాకు ఎలా, అంటే వంశీ సార్?
అంటే నాకు ఏమనిపించిందంటే, అంటే వెన్ ఐ గో ఇన్ టు రైడ్స్, జనరల్ గా మేము రైడ్ లో వెళ్తున్నప్పుడు, ఇఫ్ ఐ టాక్ ఎనీథింగ్ అబౌట్ రామాయణం గురించి అయినా కానీ, మహాభారతం గురించి, భాగవతం గురించి, ఇట్లాంటి వాటి గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నప్పుడు చాలా మంది మన ఏజ్ వాళ్ళకి అసలు కొన్ని బేసిక్స్ కూడా తెలియవు. Now, how do you tell your kids, if we ourselves don't know about the basics, how do we tell our kids that this is our history, this is our culture? సో ఇలాంటివి చాలా మందికి తెలియవు, అది నేను అబ్జర్వ్ చేశాను. సో నాకు తెలిసినంత వరకు వాట్ ఎవర్ బి ద థింగ్స్ రైట్, ఏదో ఒక చిన్న టాపిక్ మీద కొంచెం సేపు ఒక హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ 40 minutes లేకపోతే సంథింగ్ ఆఫ్ దాట్ సార్ట్. సో ఇలాంటివి if people ask any questions about that, I might answer them. సో అది అలాంటిది ఒకటి చెప్దామని. Now it's a crude thought. I would polish it over the next 7 days and we'll come back to you with a proper context.
Okay. I think Naresh want to talk or okay.
ఓకే సార్, నైస్ కాన్సెప్ట్. అంటే యా మైథాలజీ ఒక మంచి పని, ప్రాబ్లీ విల్ ప్లాన్. ఇంకెవరైనా సరే, ఇందాక వెంకీ చెప్పినట్టు ఎవరైనా సరే ఓకే ఐఎమ్ స్ట్రాంగ్ ఇన్ సమ్ ఏరియాస్, ఐ వాంట్ టు షేర్ మై నాలెడ్జ్ అంటే ఒకసారి వెంకీకి రీచ్ అవ్వండి. యూ కెన్ స్కెడ్యూల్ ఎ సెషన్. ఇఫ్ నాట్ నెక్స్ట్ వీక్, ఫాలోయింగ్ వీక్, నెక్స్ట్ వీక్ ఎట్లయినా సరే. లాక్డౌన్ తర్వాత కూడా కంటిన్యూ చేద్దాం. మనకు సాటర్డే సండే వస్తే అట్లీస్ట్ వీ కెన్ యూటిలైజ్ ఫ్యూ అవర్స్ నాలెడ్జ్ షేరింగ్, ఏదైనా సరే మనం చేసుకోవచ్చు. సో యా, మార్నింగ్ సెషన్లో చెప్పినట్టే మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు ఉన్న సిచ్యువేషన్స్ టెక్కిరేట్ కొన్ని ఇనిషియేటివ్స్ తీసుకుంటుంది. ఎవరైనా సరే ప్రస్తుతానికైతే మేము ఫినాన్షియల్ సపోర్ట్ మాత్రమే ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం. వాలంటీర్గా అన్లెస్ అదర్వైజ్ రిక్వైర్డ్ అయితే తప్ప బయటికి రాకండి. సో స్టే అట్ హోమ్, స్టే సేఫ్. సో మీరు ఎవరైనా ఒకవేళ టెక్కిరేట్ యాక్టివిటీస్లో సపోర్ట్ చేయాలి అనుకుంటే, ఫినాన్షియల్గా ఏమైనా చేయాలనుకుంటే డీటెయిల్స్ కొన్ని షేర్ చేసాం మేము ఆల్రెడీ, మళ్ళీ కూడా షేర్ చేస్తాను ఈ గ్రూప్లో. సో ఎవరైనా సరే అకౌంట్కి చేయొచ్చు. సో ఇప్పటి వరకు యాజ్ ఆఫ్ నౌ ఒక 400-500 kgs వరకు రైస్ ఒకటి ఇచ్చాం, ఒక 50 kgs వరకు దాల్ ఒకటి, డిఫరెంట్ ఏరియాస్లో విత్ ద హెల్ప్ ఆఫ్ పోలీస్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్. వన్స్ ఐఎమ్ రిపీటింగ్, మనమేం ఐడెంటిఫై చేయలేదు. మనం ఐడెంటిఫై చేసిన 1 or 2 కేసెస్, నెగ్లిజిబుల్ కేసెస్. మిగిలిన కూడా పైనుంచి కాల్ సెంటర్కి వచ్చి అక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చిన రిక్వెస్టే, వాటిని మాత్రమే తీసుకొని చేస్తున్నాం మనం. ఎందుకంటే బయటికి వెళ్ళాలంటే మనకు కూడా ఇబ్బంది, అండ్ వీఆర్ టేకింగ్ చాలా ప్రికాషన్స్ తీసుకుంటున్నాం. ఏంటంటే మనము హైజీన్ గా ఉండడము, అక్కడ క్రౌడ్ లేకుండా చూడడము, సో నీడీ ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి మాత్రమే చేయడము, అట్లాంటి ప్లాన్ చేస్తున్నాం మనం. సో మీరు ఎవరైనా ఒకవేళ కంట్రిబ్యూషన్స్ ఏమైనా చేయాలనుకుంటే యూ కెన్ డూ ఇట్ ఫర్ ద టెక్కిరేట్ అకౌంట్, ఆర్ వీ ఆల్సో షేర్డ్ ఫ్యూ డీటెయిల్స్ లైక్ వెంకీ అకౌంట్ డీటెయిల్స్ కానీ, లేకపోతే మహేష్ కానీ, వినయ్ కానీ ఇచ్చేసాం. సో మీరు దేనికైనా సరే ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేయొచ్చు. సో దట్స్ ఆల్, అండ్ థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్, అండ్ హ్యావ్ ఎ నైస్ వీకెండ్. సో అంటే నాకు తెలిసి అందరికి వీకెండ్ వీక్ డేస్ అంతా పెద్ద తేడా ఏముండదు, అందరికి ఒకటే విధంగా ఉంటుంది. Okay, thank you Vamshi sir, Shweta, Venki for organizing this, and thank you so much.
Thank you everyone.
Thanks man. Bye. Take care.